How about those G's?
From America's heartland, it's Prodigy Bowlers Tour, celebrating junior bowling and elevating junior bowlers. Today, episode 160, the 2024 Kansas City Open February Point Tournament. 5 players qualified for the TV finals, but only one can be crowned champion in Division II today. Let's meet the 5 finalists. Bowling in the first match is the 5 seed Connor Nolan. He made the show in Division III last month. He'll face the 4th qualifier, Jonas Tucker, and wait till you see this fireballer attack the pins. The winner of that opening match will challenge the 3 seed Connor Souders of Laurie, Missouri. That winner will meet the 2 seed Brody Hurla of Excelsior Springs. And the winner of that match will bowl for the championship against Fiona West of Raymore, Missouri. She's our tournament leader. One of these 5 talented kids will earn the title of Division II champion at the 2024 Kansas City Open February Point Tournament and will sign the coveted trophy pin on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. We've returned to Leavenworth, Kansas and Crown Lanes. You know, the bowling center with the dinosaur in the front yard. As you know, each Kansas City Open stages competition in 5 different average-based divisions, and today we're showcasing Division II. That's the group with averages between 180 and 199. Handicap is 90% of the difference between the player's entering average and the top of the division, which in this case is 199. I don't mind telling you that I've been eagerly anticipating this event for some time, and for a couple of different reasons. For starters, this is the tournament I missed last year following my head-on car collision. But even more so because I was expecting a special guest at this month's KCO who would be in the field. 5 years ago, in August of 2019, shortly after I staged a very special Prodigy event for littles only, I received a handwritten letter from a 7-year-old boy in Yakima, Washington, named Andrew Crook. He was inquiring if I would be holding another For Littles Only event the following year in 2020, because if I did, he wanted to bowl in it. Well, none of us knew at the time what awaited us all in the pandemic year of 2020, but I sent him a very official-looking letter from the desk of the commissioner of Prodigy Bowlers Tour, thanking him for his interest, and as a longtime Prodigy head, I commended him on his exquisite taste in video entertainment on YouTube. This led to a long-term friendship between his family and me. Along the way, I learned that Andrew would do something I used to do when I was his age. He would bowl on the bowling lane he had in his home and mimic players he saw on TV. He once saw a video I put up on YouTube that featured a bunch of legendary PBA stars of the past, and he put together a video of himself mimicking them. And then I learned that he also liked to mimic the players he would see on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. You know, the kids you see each month from the KCO. Fast forward to late 2023, when I learned from his father that the family was planning to fly into Kansas City so Andrew could bowl in the February KCO. And here we are. In addition to Andrew and his parents coming in from Washington State, his mom's parents even flew in from Michigan just to watch their grandson compete for a spot in the stepladder finals on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Something I don't talk about much on Prodigy is that the Kansas City Open also offers to the kids who bowl an option to compete for junior gold spots. And if enough kids in the field opt in for this side competition, then a kid could win his entry into this season's Junior Gold Tournament in Detroit. Andrew entered that competition, and there was one U12 Junior Gold spot available, and he won it.
Well, we had a special guest at the KCO today.
It was this young man, Andrew Crook, and where do you live?
Yakima, Washington.
Where's that?
It's in central Washington, like Washington State.
Yeah, I actually knew the answer to that question before I asked it. But it's nowhere near Kansas City. I know that. It's nowhere near Leavenworth, Kansas. But you came down here to bowl the KCO, and you've been a fan of Prodigy since when?
Start of 2020, I think.
Since
maybe it was
almost the
2019.
beginning.
I think it was 2019, start of 2019.
Yeah, and in 2019, you sent me a letter. You were 7 years old. You were interested in whether we were going to do another For Littles Only event because you wanted to come see it and come bowl in it. And none of us knew that in 2020, we wouldn't be doing a For Littles Only. We wouldn't be doing anything. We'd all be locked down. So fast forward 5 years, and I hear from you again, and you're like, I'm coming to KC. I want to see this KCO thing, and I want to bowl my way on to Prodigy. And you almost did it. Have you heard where you finished yet? 13th. And you had you bowled a great morning block. You were like 230 something, 220 something.
180.
And then kind of hit a little rough spot on the third game in the morning block, and you finished 13th. Just missed. But did you have fun?
Yes.
Was it everything you'd hoped it would be?
Yes.
And something else happened to you today. What was that?
I got to meet Nolan Nash and Caden White.
You got to meet Nolan Nash and Caden White and a bunch of other KCO kids, but you entered the Junior Gold competition. What happened? You won it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you won your way into Junior Gold. So you also kind of came down here because you wanted to meet me. And as I've told everybody, imagine the family's disappointment when that dream came to fruition. But actually, it ended up being a trip worthwhile because you won your Junior Gold spot. So I just wanted to congratulate you on that. You don't get to sign the coveted trophy pin, but you did get to see it.
All right, as it's finishing up,
So next time,
they will point in the
next time you're in the top 5, right?
Hopefully.
Okay. Well, safe travels home, and as we say around here, thanks for playing our game. We have some lovely parting gifts.
Thank you.
So let's take a look at how the Division II qualifying round went down. As you can see, it was Alexandria Beals who found herself in the lead following the morning block. She's the granddaughter of Shelley Patterson, who serves on the KCO board and typically is found overseeing the Division I stepladder. Alina Miller, granddaughter of KCO chairman Lee Miller, was tied for second with Connor Souders. Alina, you will recall, was on the Division III show last month and won the first 2 matches. Her reward? She got re-rated and now finds herself in Division II, where she continued her stellar play through the morning block. Fiona West was inside the cut line after the first 3 games, as was our guest from the Pacific Northwest, Andrew Crook, who was licking his chops at dinner the night before the tournament over the fresh oil he'd face bowling the A squad, which goes off early in the morning. But as he would find out in the afternoon, the key to contending in any tournament is staying ahead of the transition. Others in the hunt included Brody Hurla, who was just below the top 5, and Damian Burns, who made the show last month in Division III as the tournament leader before surrendering to Peyton Tryon. Jonas Tucker and Connor Nolan were also on the outside looking in and needed a big afternoon block to get into the top 5. And boy did they get it. Connor Nolan fired a red-hot 690 in the afternoon to move up to grab the 5th spot. And Jonas Tucker was scattering pins everywhere in his final game to move up to the 4th position. 3 players who weren't so happy with their afternoon showing were Alexandria Beals, who fell from 1st to 8th, Alina Miller, who dropped from 2nd to 12th, and as I mentioned earlier, Andrew Crook, who needed a big 6th game and just couldn't quite deliver this time. But he goes home to Washington, happy with his berth in junior gold. So that brings us to the championship round, where our 5 finalists are seeded thusly in a series of head-to-head matches where a player will keep advancing as long as they keep winning. It's time we light the fuse and get match 1 underway with our 5 seed Connor Nolan against our number 4 qualifier, Jonas Tucker. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, wait till you see Jonas Tucker make the pins dance. I tell you what, both of these players can make the pins fly. You might want to put on your protective goggles for this match. Jonas Tucker, being the higher qualifier, has the option, so he has elected to lead off. Has a high hit to start. Broke up the split, leaves just the 6 pin. That could have been most anything. So a good break to begin. He'll move over to the left side of the approach and go cross lane at this single pin spare. And takes care of it. So now we get our first look today at Connor Nolan, who made the show last month when we were in Lawrence. He was in Division III then. And he gets a high hit, but breaks him up and trips the 4-7 for a strike to start. Another fortunate break. Watch this. Boy, he gets this way out wide, out to about the 6th board. Comes in a little high, but oh, the bowler's friend, the trip 4. So both players start with a mark, and as you can see from the score sheet, the only thing separating them is the handicap. Connor in the pocket again. This time a solid strike, so he gets out of the gate with a double to push his lead to 18 after 2 frames. And now Jonas Tucker, who has sort of bounced between Divisions 1 and 2 so far this season. Gets the wall shot to get his first strike of the match. As you can see, we've added his handicap into the score right there in the first frame. A spare strike would be 20 in the first. We've added his 3 pins of handicap, so he has 23 in the first. Head pin comes off the wall and takes out the 4, 5, 7, the classic wall shot. So he moves back over to the left lane. And slaps out the 10 pin for a double, and that shaves Connor Nolan's lead down to 8. Take another look at Jonas Tucker's footwork. Pretty standard 5-step approach. Over about 14 at the arrows, out to about 8. Works like a charm. And another wall shot. This time Connor Nolan gets one to put a 3rd strike on the board. So he begins with a turkey. Watch it again. 4-step approach. Keeps that ball and his elbow tight to his body like we like to see it. Actually a little unlucky that that ball deflected around the 5, but the head pin did the job and delivered the wall shot. This time he sends it out way to the right, and it comes back strong, and Connor Nolan has a 4-bagger to start. Jonas Tucker has gone spare strike, strike, and he's down by 28. Keeps the strikes coming, though. And that'll cut the lead down to 18. Jonas, 16 years old. bowls at Gladstone Bowl, where we were in October. You see Peyton Tryon there on the lane to our left. That's Division III over there. To our right is Division IV. We will recap their stepladders when we get to the end of the show today. Oh, and he gets the love tap on the 10. So Jonas keeps his string of strikes going. Both players with a 4-bagger. No, right through the nose for Connor Nolan, who turns 18 next month in March. So this will be his final year of eligibility as a youth bowler. Covers the spare, no problem. Connor Nolan started bowling when he was 16. His first league didn't come until this season. He already has a 280 to his credit and a 767. They must be teaching him right over at Summit Lanes in Lee Summit, Missouri. And another solid strike. These kids piling on the X's today. To be honest, I did not expect this kind of scoring today. The scoring in qualifying was moderate at best. But now Jonas can take the lead with a strike here in the 6th frame. And he gets it. That pushes him to a 5-bagger. And in front by 3 pins. Watch that one again. Playing a pretty straight line. Whatever works. Shall we make it a 6-bagger? Not this time. He got that one out a little wide into the dry, a little early. It read the friction and came charging back through the nose. Broke up the split, leaves just the 4-7. And he converts it. Well, Connor Nolan says his favorite Pro Bowler is Kevin McCune. Oh my goodness. Stone 9. Thank you very much. Easy spare. And he covers it. Just 1 pin separating these two. Connor admitted that he's fallen and fouled a couple of times in just the last 3 days. Once today during qualifying. That's no good. Boom. One thing I noticed about Connor's game, you should be able to pick it up here on the replays. Look how far from the foul line he slides. He's a good 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet from the foul line. It's hard to foul when you finish that far from the foul line, but he's done it here a couple of times. Boy, that was another dead pull by Jonas Tucker, and did he ever get away with it? Trips out the 4-9. Watch this. Watch the 2-pin, the third one from the left. It'll go to the left wall and get the 4, and I believe it's the 3-pin. No, it's the 10-pin that gets the 9. The 3 comes off the wall, knocks the 10 into the 9. Hey, you take them however you can get them. But now both players with a strike up in the 8th. Still just 1 pin separating them. A double here could be huge. Oh my goodness, that thing nearly missed the head pin on the left. He gets a lucky Brooklyn. And let's see if we can pick up why that happened. I believe we're going to see, it's hard to pick it up from this angle, but his right shoulder will outrace his left shoulder before the ball is out of his hand. And when your right shoulder, when your bowling shoulder outraces your non-bowling shoulder, you're going to pull it every single time. Wow, Connor Nolan with a double as well. And this sets up a very interesting 10th frame between these two. Watch this one again. Ball right under his head. This is ideal. This is what we look for at the top of the swing as well as the bottom. His hand is below the ball, the fingers well below the equator. Ball close to his ankle, good position. Like I said, they're coaching him up right at Summit Lanes. And that was dead solid perfect. Oh man, that one is wide. I wasn't sure it was going to get back, but it sure did. He was a little slower with the speed on that one, giving it a chance to come back. Watch this. Over about 15 at the arrows, out to, I'd say, 4. And down they go. So he takes the lead with that one, can extend to 19. And that's what he does. He cannot shut out Jonas, but he can make it difficult for him. As it is right now, Jonas is going to need the first 2 strikes in the 10th. Here's that second one in the 10th by Connor. Beautiful. Possible 270. Yeah, it looks like he either stuck or slipped at the line. He looked down at his feet. But a 269. Jonas Tucker will need 2 strikes and 9 to win the match. If he doesn't get a strike on the first or second ball, Connor Nolan will win the match. Must strike here. Oh my goodness! What a break! He trips the 4-9. Watch it again. This as good a break as you will ever see in bowling. Comes in high. And I believe the 3-pin gets both the 4 and the 9. That's unusual. But as good as that was, he needs another one here. If he fails to strike on this ball, Connor wins the match. That is right in the hole. And now he has a chance to win. Watch watch that one again. This was as good as it gets. Puts a nice roll on it. And down they go. So, he needs a strike or 9 to win. 8 would be a tie. 7 is no good. Oh, no! Well, he gets 8, so we have a tie. A tie at 269, which has got to be a Prodigy record. I'm sure we've never had a tie with a higher score than this in the 8-year history of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. So, here's what'll happen. These two will bowl a 9th and 10th frame roll-off. Brent Whitesell is confirming the scores and writing them down. Here's the rules for the roll-off at the KCO. It's 2 frames, just like you bowl a 9th and 10th. One player will bowl in the 9th frame, and then the other player will bowl the 9th and 10th. The player who finished last in the match, that was Jonas, will start second. So Connor Nolan will lead off. The players receive 2/10 of their full game handicap, which makes sense. You're bowling 2 frames. And then if they're tied after the roll-off, well, we rinse and repeat. And we will keep repeating it until the tie is broken. So once again, Jonas Tucker threw the last ball in the match. So it'll be Connor Nolan who throws the first ball in the roll-off. As I said, he will bowl the 9th frame here on the left lane and sit down. Jonas will bowl the 9th on the right lane, the 10th on the left, and then Connor will finish on the right. Oh my goodness! You thought Jonas Tucker got a break when he broke up the 4-9. This was looking like it could be a 4-6. This is going to go right through the nose. The 6 falls over and gets the 4. Wow. All right, Jonas. See if you can match him. And there you go. Now remember, Connor is getting 2 pins here. He was getting 11 in the full match. Jonas was getting 3, but when you do 2/10 of those numbers, it's 2 pins for Connor and 0 for Jonas. He can take the lead with a strike here, but something disturbs him, something on his smartwatch. Maybe he has an appointment to be somewhere. I don't know about that, Jonas. I think you are right where you should be. Strike would be huge. Oh, no, he doesn't get the break on the 4-9 this time. He's been flirting with it, but this time it bites him. And in this situation, he's got to go for it. Here's how you make the 4-9. Get over to the left side of the 4 and slide it over into the 9. Oh, he almost bounced it out, but a little too heavy on the 4 pin. And he pats Connor on the back as if to say he's conceding, but not so fast. Connor's still got some unfinished business here. Now, if he goes 9 out, he'll win because of his 2 pins of handicap. And that's going to do it right there. Even if he misses this 4 pin, that'll give him 21 in the 9th. 9 more is 30 in the 10th. He's got this roll-off and this match won. And it came down to that 4-9 in the 10th frame of the roll-off for Jonas. And they are exchanging handshakes. And Connor's not even going to throw the last ball. So he has taken this match and will move on to face Connor Souders in match 2. Following a match like the one we just witnessed, about all I can say is, are you not entertained? These kids at the KCO never cease to amaze me. Even in Division II, they can put on a show that takes a back seat to no one. Like the championship match in Division I that we saw last month on episode 159, it's a shame someone had to lose. Really, when you get right down to it, The only mistake Jonas Tucker made was that last strike ball he threw in the 10th frame of his roll-off, where he left the 4-9. He got away with a similar shot on his first ball in the 10th frame of regulation, but it was not to be in the decisive final frame of the roll-off. And Connor Nolan, of course, stayed right with Jonas throughout the match. I mean, they did tie at 269. I'm certain that's the highest score we've ever had on Prodigy that resulted in a tie. But it's Connor Nolan who prevailed in the roll-off, so he's moving on to match 2 and the Battle of the Connors. This is Connor Souter's first appearance on Prodigy, but not his first time competing at the Kansas City Open. Just last month in Lawrence, he was the 3 seed in Division II, just like he is today. He lost his only match that day in the stepladder, so I know he'd love to improve on that showing. Meanwhile, Connor Nolan was on Prodigy last month in Division III when he also qualified in the 3rd position and lost his match to Alina Miller. He finished 4th and now has a chance to improve on that showing. Connor Souders just turned 18 yesterday, the day before we taped this, so happy birthday to him. Oh, and there's a nice birthday gift. Another broken down 4-9. Wow. These pins are flying like crazy. They're twister pins, which are the synthetic pins. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but what a break to start the match. Goodness gracious. All right, Connor Nolan. Through the nose and leaves the 3-6. He'll take his spare ball, plastic ball, it goes straight, go cross lane at it. Oh, but he chops the 3 off the 6. And that's not helpful. Well, once again, you see that we've added his 11 pins of handicap into his score right there in the first frame. He got 9 out. 9 and 11 is 20. That's how we roll on these handicap affairs. He comes right back with a solid strike in the second, just to let Connor Souders know he's there. Take another look at that one. Rolls it over the 4th arrow, out to about 11 at the break point. Sweeps him off the deck. All right, Connor Souders going for a double. And he gets it. Powerful strike. Now, you've heard of gym rats. Connor Souders is a bowling alley rat. His parents, about 5 years ago, bought the bowling center in their small rural town of Laurie, Missouri, West Side Lanes. And Connor Souders is the president of the West Side Lanes Youth League. It's a 12-lane center down by the Lake of the Ozarks. Got that one out a little too wide, and it read the friction out there. We bowl on the house shot at the KCO. Lanes are a little drier on the outsides with a buildup of oil in the center. If you can ride that oil line, the pocket isn't too hard to find. It becomes a matter of carry. And the way these pins are flying around, carry is not a problem. Covers the spare without a problem. Just a 4-pin handicap differential here. Connor Nolan getting 11, Connor Souders getting 7, so they're pretty evenly matched. And once again, a player getting the ball a little too far right, too soon on the lane. It reads the friction on the outside and starts hooking too early. and there's nothing to keep it from climbing, and in this case, nearly crossed over. Leaves just the 10. And he misses it. Misses it by several inches, and that's unusual for this young fella. That's 2 opens in 3 frames, and he's digging himself a hole. Crosses over, and he gets a Brooklyn strike. But once again, a player getting the ball out too wide, too soon on the lane, and it starts to hook early. I think we'll be able to point it out to you here. He hits about 17 at the arrows, but watch this. He's already out to about the 7th board, and that ball has just crossed the 34-foot tracer. At 34 feet, he's already out to 8. You need to get that ball out to about 8 down lane around the 42-foot mark or so. If it's out there that soon, it's going to start hooking right away, and there's nothing to keep it from hooking past the head pin. He needs to be aiming a little farther to the left, and that ball will actually stay farther to the right. I know, it's a little counterintuitive to some of you. That's how it works. You want to play inside the oil line and then get it out there to the break point, let it float out to the dry at the point you need it to start hooking, not sooner. Amateurs play the lane from left to right. The pros play it from front to back. But on the house shot, if you get lined up correctly, you should have some miss area left and right. Connor Souders takes care of the 10 pin. He is the president of the National Honor Society at his school. He's first in his class, an Eagle Scout. I've always said that bowling is for smart people, and he proves my point. Boy, that's a solid one right there for Connor Souders. And a 26-pin lead. We'll watch this one again. Now watch where his ball is down lane. That ball is only going to get out to about 11. And so there's no chance it's going to overhook. That's a better shot. There you go. In the pocket. Gets the love tap. That's what he's looking for. Watch it again. The big difference in the last 2 shots that he's thrown for strike balls. This one's not going to get as wide. That is only going to get out to about maybe 10 or 11. That's where he wants to be. See if he can replicate that here on the left lane. There you go. Doesn't get the love tap this time, but he was back in the pocket. The adjustment for that is to maybe move your feet back to the right a board, or there have been times that I have adjusted my feet like a half a board, and that would be just right. Oh, you can't be missing single pin spares though. That's 2 10 pins he's missed. And of course he chopped that 3-6 in the first frame. This is turning into disaster for Connor Nolan. He's a better spare shooter than what he's showing in this match. No sooner does he get that double to cut into Connor Souders' lead, he gives it right back with an open in the 6th. And Connor Souders takes advantage of it by putting a double up on the board and extends his lead to 39 pins. See, that ball gets out to about 11. That's the sweet spot. He can run away and hide here if he gets another strike. That one was a little wide, but his speed enabled the ball to hold line. Watch this. He's going to get this one out a little bit wider than he has the last couple of shots. He hits 12 at the arrows and out to about 7 or 6 at the break point, much wider than his previous shots. That's what I'm talking about on the house shot. You got a little miss area, but you've only got so much. Oh, and once again, Connor Nolan got that one out really wide. It started hooking too soon, and he nearly had the 4-9. It went high, leaves just the 4. He gets a break. But now the situation is this. The best Connor Nolan can do is 215. Connor Souders is going at a 234 pace. So Connor Nolan needs to go off the sheet and hope that Connor Souders opens somewhere. No good. A 245. That'll grow the lead to 52 for Connor Souders. And Connor Nolan is in dire straits. Moves over to the left side of the lane to shoot at the 245. But he plays it from the right side and nearly chops it. Don't love that angle. Anytime you got the ball coming in from the right side of the lane toward the 2-5, it increases your chances of chopping that 2 off the 5. I much prefer seeing them play it down the left side of the lane, throwing it straight. You watch the pros. That's the way most of them play the 2-5 or 2-4-5. And there is no stopping Connor Souders. The bowling alley rat is showing him how it's done. You spend that much time in the bowling center, you're going to get pretty good if you're spending that time bowling anyway. And I'll bet he spends some of his time bowling. That's pretty obvious. Got that one out to about 10. That's right where you want to be. This young man qualified 3rd last month, finished 4th here in Division II. Back in October when we were in Gladstone, he was in Division 4. He finished 7th. So he is no stranger to being in the thick of things. Over 15, out to about 8. Slaps out the 10. Thank you very much. And he has won the match. Once again, Connor Nolan gets that ball way out to the right. And it comes screaming back, but he gets a Brooklyn. I think when he sees this show and sees the angles, he might figure out what he did wrong. And now watch this. That ball is on the 4th board, and it hasn't even reached the 34-foot tracers yet. And so it crosses over and hits about 23 or 24 when it enters the pins. The pocket is 17 or 17 and a half. That's just too wide, too early. But see, that time, he only got it out to about 9, and it's set perfectly in the pocket. Watch this. This time the ball is only going to get at 20 at the arrows and only gets out to about 9. And hits the half pocket and slaps out the 10 like a boss. Unfortunately for Connor Nolan, it's too little too late. That time the ball only got out to about 12 at the break point, and he still got the love tap on the 10. Watch this. Once again, he's going to be right at around the 4th arrow. Watch how wide it gets. It gets out to about 12. Sets in the pocket. That's the way to play these lanes, especially after they're burned like this. Another good one. That's how you finish a match. Unfortunately for Connor, that's also the way you want to bowl in the middle of the game. Instead, he had 3 opens, including 2 single pin spares that he missed. And it's hard to win when you're beating yourself. But now Connor Souders, good heavens, he could end up in the 270s. Look at this. That's a 6-bagger. Puts him in the 260s. Now he gets that ball out all the way to about 7 that time, but because Connor Souders is throwing it with much more ball speed than Connor Nolan, he's able to hold pocket. Connor Souders says his best moment in bowling is when he bowled a Verapapa 300 at State. When we talk about a Verapapa 300, we're talking about 12 strikes in a row spanning across 2 games, 2 consecutive games. You get 12 in a row, they're just not all in one game. The great Andy Verapapa, one of the great bowlers of the 20th century, and one of the greatest trick shot artists of all time, always counted his 300s even when they weren't in one game. If he got 12 in a row, he said that's a 300. So it became known as a Verapapa 300. All right, 7 on the fill ball gives him 271. That'll do. That'll win you a lot of games. So Connor Souders wins the Battle of the Connors, defeating Connor Nolan. And he's moving on to match 3, where he'll face Brody Hurla next. So in the Battle of the Connors, it was Connor Souders who prevailed this time. It's understandable how, after that first match that ended in a 269 tie between Connor Nolan and Jonas Tucker, and then Connor won the roll-off to get into match 2, how Connor Nolan might have felt a little drained. And when match 2 began, and Connor chopped the 3-6 in the first frame, and then whiffed the 10-pin in the third, you kind of had to figure that his good fortune for this day was spent. Then a second missed 10-pin surely didn't help matters, but honestly, when your opponent is dropping a cool little 271 on you, there is precious little margin for error. Connor Souders came out firing with a 9-strike game to let everyone know he came to win. So Connor Souders has advanced to match 3, where he'll now face Brody Hurla. Brody was the tournament leader in Division II heading into the stepladder finals last month in Lawrence. He lost that championship match to Brett Stockwell, and now he'd just like to get back and have another chance to bowl in the championship match. He'll need to win this match to do it, but he'll have to get past a red-hot Connor Souders if he wants to face our tournament leader, Fiona West. Brody had the option, and he has elected to lead off. He wants to finish last. And if you're like me, you probably thought he pulled that shot. It looked like it was well left of target, but no, that's the angle he's playing. Brody throws almost a straight ball. It only hooks a couple of boards. You watch this, it kind of reminds me of a Roy Buckley fallback shot, but not quite. All right, Connor, he'd like to match Brody's strike. And he does. You see there is a 7-pin handicap differential. Connor is basically spotting Brody's 7 pins. Brody getting 14 pins of handicap, Connor getting 7. Another perfect shot over about 11 at the break point. As we've seen, that appears to be the sweet spot. But Brody will be playing inside of that, going much straighter. Oh, he really got that one wide. and it's set for him. We saw Connor Nolan go high when he sent it out there. Connor Souders, though, able to hold pocket because of the speed with which he throws it. Watch this. This is going to get out. He hits about 12 at the arrows. That's out to about 4 or 5 at the break point. And I'll tell you what, you give any player 4 or 5 boards to hit, that'll buoy their confidence. A solid strike for Brody Hurla to match Connor Souders' double out of the gate. Take another look at it and see if we can pick up some things about Brody's game. At the release position, you see the ball is actually a little to the right of his head. His elbow kind of flying out to the right. We'd like to see that elbow in close to his body. And look where his hand is. Way on top of the ball. Fingers above the equator. This is why he's such a low rev rate guy and why he throws the ball so straight. Even though he's got his fingers on the side of the ball, because they're up on the top of the ball, he won't get the revolutions and can't generate the hook that some players do. But he relies on accuracy and solid pocket hits, and he's got 2 of them to start. 3 of them. That time, the 6-pin didn't do its job and kick out the 10. So he'll go cross lane at the single pin spare. One would think, as straight as Brody throws it, his spare game should be pretty solid. Well, he nearly hooked past the 10-pin, but gets it. And once again, as we mention each match, we add the handicap into their score in the first frame. So you don't have to. Brody started with 2 strikes and 9. That would give him 29 in the first. Add to that the 14 pins of handicap, and that's how he ends up with 43 in the first. Ooh, Connor Souders gave that one a little extra turn at the bottom. It hooks high. He leaves the 3-6. This is the spare that Connor Nolan chopped in the first frame of that last match. Connor Souders will stand on the left side of the approach and go cross lane at it. And he covers it. And that'll keep things close. Just 8 pins separating these two. Well, as I mentioned earlier, the group bowling to our left on lanes 15 and 16, that's Division 3. In fact, you just saw Peyton Tryon throw a shot. You saw him win in Division 3 last month, so he's going for another one today. To our right, on lanes 19 and 20, that's Division 4. We'll recap their step ladders at the end of the show. Oh my. Connor Souders' ball breaks high and through the nose and leaves the 4-6 split. Well, we've seen it made once before on Prodigy at the Prodigy Tournament of Champions last year by Antonio Miranda in a rather peculiar way of making it. I'd never seen it made that way, sliding it across the lane, but most of the time they'll just go for one. You try to slice it so thin to get it to go straight across the lane like that, you'll get 8 out more often than you make the spare. Most players will just go for one, hope something bounces out of the back. Brody Hurla distracted, I suppose, by the player over there on the right lane of the adjacent pair. We don't give full pair courtesy. It's just one lane courtesy at the KCO, like you would have in league. Should be enough, but his peripheral vision may be such that it was distracting enough to cause him to back away. But I'll tell you what, if the result is a solid strike, I'd say you take as long as you need. He rips the rack that time. Shreds that 5 over into the 7. Here's his footwork, a little obscured by the score pad there on the table. Over 14 out to about 12. Now think about that. Over 14 at the arrows and only gets out to about 12. So he's covering 2 boards, maybe 3 if you measure from the laydown point. That is throwing it straight. Certainly in the modern day game where you see players use, I don't know, I've seen them use all 39 boards, it seems, sometimes. Connor through the nose with that one. Could have been a split. He leaves the 6-10. Started with a double, spare, then an open. He needs to get back on the horse, and to do that, he needs to cover this spare. There you go. Trailing by 31 as Brody has given him no room to breathe. Boom. Can't throw it any better than that. Watch this one. 5-step approach. Big crossover step. Nice slide over the 3rd arrow. This time he gets it out to about 8. And that's 10 in the pit right there. Brody just playing that little straight ball straight to the pocket again and again. Let's see if we can pick up just how straight his ball is. All right, he's laying it down on the 18th board. You can see that dot right next to his shoes, 20. Can't quite make out where it is at the arrows, but he lays it down at 18, and it's only out to 13 at the break point. So he's only bellied at 5 boards to the right, and the pocket is at the 17.5 board. So it's only moving about 4 boards. That is really unusual in this day and age. Pulled that one. Pulled it way to the left of his target. And I think we might be able to pick up why. As I mentioned when we did this earlier, it's hard to see it from behind, but I think Brody's going to give us an opportunity. Look where his left arm is at release. It's behind his hips, and his right shoulder has passed his left as the ball is coming off his hand. So when your right shoulder passes the left before the ball is gone, you're going to pull it every single time. But an easy spare. And he takes care of the 9-pin. No muss, no fuss. And maintains a 40-pin lead over Connor Souders, who needs to get busy. He has a strike working, so he can cut the lead to 30 on this ball, and then if he gets another strike in the 8th, he can cut it to 20, which would set up a photo finish. But instead, he gets that ball out a little wide. This time it doesn't hold. Hooks high, and he leaves the 3. When you're bowling the house shot, the tendency is to get a little undisciplined with the shot because you know you've got some miss area to the left and the right. But you gotta stay on target. Covers the spare. but lets a golden opportunity slip through his fingers to cut into Brody's lead as they're running out of frames now. Connor takes his time. Needs to get a little string of strikes going. Oh, it went high, but he gets the trip 4. So he gives himself a chance. Watch the 2-pin. The third one from the left. It's going to go to the left wall. Ball was pretty high on the head pin. And that 2-pin slips between the 4 and the 7. And something came off the right wall to take out the 4 just in case the 2 didn't get it. All right, Brody. A little high this time. Leaves the 4-7. Could have been worse. Ooh, I wonder if Peyton Tryon hit his ankle over there on lane 16 shooting at that split. I saw him hopping off the approach. Man, you hit your ankle, you hit that little bone on your ankle. You will remember that for the rest of your life. Spare for Brody Hurla. That keeps the pressure on Connor. Brody Hurla going at a 240 pace. The best Connor Souders can do is 232. So Brody's job here is to just stay clean and keep his count up through the rest of the match. Do that, and you'll be bowling for the championship, young man. That's his Sunday ball right there. You ever hear the expression, wear your Sunday best? That's where it comes from. Your Sunday ball is the best ball you can throw. Over about 16 at the arrows, gets out to about 12 or 13. Again, the pocket is 17 to 17 and a half. That is a pretty straight ball that Mr. Hurla is throwing. Trip 4 for Connor Souders. That'll keep him in it. But now he needs to take it off the sheet to have much of any chance at all. See that one again. Over about 13, 14. Out to 11 at the break point, and he squeezes it in there. Tight in the pocket, but got the trip 4. Needs 3 strikes in the 10th to have a chance. There's one. Can't throw it any better than that. The birthday boy wants to be a software engineer when he grows up. I think that's a pretty future-proof career. Another stone solid strike in the 11th. Watch it again. Keeps his hand behind the ball the way we like to see. Got that one out to about 8. But it's set nicely in the pocket. So one more strike for 232. That'll win most matches. still have a chance. Boom. Okay, 232 it is. Take one more look at that fill ball. He finished strong. That one back to the sweet spot, out to about 11, where he's been throwing his best shots. All right, Brody needs a mark. And there's no better mark to get than a strike, especially when you're working on a strike. He still needs 2 pins, but I'll bet he can get them. He's got 2 shots in which to get 2 pins. I think he can handle that. 10 back. He needs 2 pins to wrap it up. That'll do. Another 4-9. Does not matter. Brody wins match 3. He's in the 240s. And he will be bowling Fiona West for the title. So we'll have a little fun here and go for the 4-9. Why not? Slow rolls it. Nearly makes it, but it just runs past the 4-pin. It's a 246 for Brody Hurla. More than enough to defeat Connor Souders with a 232. They both bowled awfully well, but in the end, it's Brody Hurla who's moving on to bowl for the championship against our tournament leader, Fiona West, when we return next. In a close match, Connor Souders actually got more strikes than his opponent, Brody Hurla. But the one open frame where Connor left the 4-6 proved decisive. But the young man from down near the Lake of the Ozarks showed everyone that he never gives up and is a tough out. So I think we're liable to see him again. But on this day, it was Brody Hurla who made just enough shots to take match 3 from Connor. And now Brody finds himself right back in the championship match where he came up just a little short last month in Lawrence. But his task of improving upon that second place finish is not made any easier by who his opponent is. The last time we saw Fiona West in the number 1 position at the KCO was in November of 2022 in Lawrence, the same place Brody came up short last month. On that November day 15 months ago, not only did Fiona lap the field in Division 2, but her qualifying scores would have put her in first place in any division, including Division 1. Fiona would go on to defeat Justin Preston in the championship match that day to take the title. And she would love nothing more than to do it again, this time to Brody Hurla. But Brody still has the sour taste in his mouth of finishing second. So it seems a safe bet he'll come out firing. This could be an excellent match. Both of these players, multiple-time winners on the KCO and the HOA. Brody with 3 HOAs and 5 KCOs. As we take another look at his opening toss here in the championship match. Over 14 at the arrows. Got that one out to about 9. Playing a little more hook. Man, he's getting a little frisky here. Covering the whole bowling lane. All right, Fiona. And she shreds the rack. Fiona with a couple of KCO wins, both of them in Division 2. She's also won an HOA and won the Pepsi in Missouri. That was right up 5. Splits the 5 and 6. Gotta love it. Just 2 pins of handicap differential. These two very evenly matched. And another one solid in the pocket. Take another look at Fiona's game. 5-step approach. Pushes it out to the right a little bit. That ball a little bit outside of her head. You like to see the head to the right of the ball if you can, but she's got it super close to her ankle. Fingers above the equator. I don't love that. If she could get her fingers a little lower on the ball, she'd increase her rev rate, have a little more power. But she's so accurate. She depends on solid hits, and she gets a lot of them. Yeah, that looked like it was left of target right off his hand. And because he's playing well inside of the oil line, he's not getting any help from the house shot. Usually, a scratch bowler or a high average bowler will play right along the oil line, giving him a little miss area. Brody doesn't benefit from that because he plays left of the oil line. But a strike spare start. And you see that we've added his 14 pins of handicap into his score right there in the first frame. We'll do the same thing with Fiona like we do with all the players when we're covering these handicap matches. It's right in the pocket again, and Brody, strike, spare, strike to begin. He's also throwing the ball a little slower, which you can get away with when you're playing inside the oil line. That one got out a little farther to the right, bounced up against the dry part of the lane, and he got it to finish. Oh, boy. One of the benefits of the straighter ball is you will get more trip fours. When you come in at a very sharp angle from the right, you'll more often than not leave those 4 pins. But Fiona tripped at that time very late. Watch this. Once again, it's the 2 pin, the third one from the left that'll do most of the damage. The ball very high in the pocket. The 2 pin goes to the left wall, gets out the 7, and then has just enough energy left to trip the 4. That is the right-hander's best friend, the trip 4. Well, that one a little too high. And not much is going to save you when you hit right on the nose. Could have been a split. Lucky to leave just the 6-10. But Fiona with the early lead in this match, 16 pins, assuming she covers the spare. No problem. Spares are a strength of Fiona's game. I love her technique. She goes to a spare ball, which goes straighter, but she still comes right up the back of the ball to ensure that it goes very straight at all her spares. Well, Brody's starting to swing it out to the right just a little bit more. So as a result, that ball comes in, finishes, kicks out the 10 pin. Watch this. Can't quite make out where it is at the arrows, but he gets that one all the way out to about 8. And hooks in and finds the pocket. Knocks that 10 toward the inside. Thank you very much. And with that strike, he takes the lead. Gotta love a turkey. Fiona had one to start the match. Brody gets one here in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th frame. Over 17 at the arrows. This ball only gets out to about 13. Very straight shot. Area check. Oh my goodness. That ball actually slipped off of Fiona's hand, but because her swing is so straight and on line, she was still able to hit the pocket. Because it fell off her hand, she didn't have the fingers on it. to drive out the 5-pin. As all the hands in the bowling center go up. Rather silly custom in bowling. You leave a 5-pin, everybody holds their hand up. And then if the player misses the 5-pin, they owe everybody whose hand went up a round of drinks. I guess in junior bowling it would be a round of soft drinks, but you get the idea. Kind of a dumb custom if you ask me. You'd be about as likely to see my dog Oreo make the 7-10 split as you'd be to see Fiona West miss the 5-pin. High again, and this time, trouble. The 4-6-7. I think the way Antonio Miranda made the 4-6, he would have made the 4-6-7. The problem is that with the 2 pins on the left, you almost have to go at the 2 on the left. And you're not going to slide the 4 into the 6 like you would the other way. He's going for it, though. But gets just 1. That's the risk you run when you go aggressive at that. So it's an open frame, and she loses an extra pin of count by not getting the 4 as well. It's a 20-pin lead. Brody with a chance to extend it to 30. But he comes up thin. The sleeper 8 goes out, but he still has the 2-4. This a fairly easy spare for a right-hander. A little more difficult for a left-hander. But I would expect Brody will take care of this. And he does. So the lead narrows slightly with that 8 count on his first ball. Dropping from 20 to 18. Brody working on a spare. Hold it. Oh, but it's set. Oh, I thought that was heading straight for the nose. But he throws it so straight. Watch this. Where did he hit at the arrows? That's at about 18. The pocket is 17, so it couldn't have hooked much. He might have swung it out a little wider, but goodness gracious. That was a magic trick. And now Fiona fighting with the lane, trying to stay off the nose, and can't do it. Leaves the 6-pin. It doesn't look like Brody's going to hand her any openings. Fiona's going to have to go take this. If she wants to win, she's going to need some strikes. They're still just separated by 18 pins, so this is anybody's match. But Fiona, after a quick start with a turkey out of the starting gate, hasn't struck since the 3rd. Nearly leaves the 4-9. The 9 goes out. But she needs strikes. She throws the ball so straight at her spares, I was never really worried about that one. Even though it looked like it might be headed left. Wow. Brody's just got that fallback shot down. maybe a bit of an exaggeration to call it a fallback shot, but it almost is compared to what we're used to seeing from these kids, hooking the ball like crazy. The ball gets out to about 12, climbs about 5 boards on the back 20 feet of the lane. And once again, that ball looked like it was headed for the nose, but it just stays there. And now he's grown his lead to 39 pins. And Fiona's got her back to the wall. That ball over about 17 at the arrows, only gets out to about 14. And sets in the pocket at the 17th board. Fiona throwing an aggressive shot. Flat 10s. Just when she needs to carry a strike. Trailing by 40 in the 9th frame. Not the position you want to be in. And she gets the 10. And now the best Fiona can do is 222 with 3 strikes in the 10th. Brody is sitting at 212 if he doesn't throw another ball. We have seen some 4-9s go out late today. Seems like most of the players have had that shot at one time or another on the show today. Watch it again. The 4-9 will be the last to go. The 2-pin will get the 4. I'm not sure what gets the 9. It's the... I still don't know what got it. The wind. Well, this time she can't trip the 4. So Fiona's going to finish with 212, assuming she makes this, which I think is a safe bet. Which means Brody Hurla needs 1 pin. And if Fiona would happen to whiff this spare, she won't. He wouldn't even need that. 212. Brody, you just need to stay behind the foul line and keep the ball on the lane, and you will win. There you go. He does it in style. Brody Hurla comes on and wins the last 2 matches on Prodigy Bowlers Tour today and is going to sign the coveted trophy pin for the first time with one of the straightest balls we've seen win on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Wow. He just sweeps him off the deck. With good count, he's going to be in the 270s. That's pretty juicy. We have seen some scoring today. A strike for 272. $271. We've already had a 271 today. And a couple of 269s in the opening match. That's crazy good. So Brody Hurla, you're our champion on Prodigy Bowlers Tour today. Congratulations, big buddy. And we're going to visit with our champ right after this. Stick around. How's that for a championship round? A pair of 271s, a pair of 269s in the same match, a 246 and a 232 in the same match, and no game under 200 in the stepladder finals. As I said earlier after match 1, are you not entertained? These KCO kids never cease to amaze me. Put a camera on them and they seem to spring to life. Fiona West didn't bowl bad. She just flat out got beat as Brody Hurla dropped a little 271 on her. It's hard to win when your opponent throws 9 strikes. But you don't lead after qualifying if you're not bowling well, so it's good to see Fiona back in rhythm with her game humming right along. But all Brody Hurla did on the show today was throw a 246 and 271 for a 2-game average of 258. Oh, and for those keeping track, that was a 2-game scratch average of 245. Mighty impressive, especially for someone essentially throwing a straight ball. I'd say it's time we sit down and visit with our champion so you can meet him.
Here's a new face we haven't seen on Prodigy Bowlers Tour before. It's Brody Hurla, and he just won the Division II title at the KCO here in Leavenworth.
Yeah, I did. Pretty happy about it.
I'll bet you are.
First one I've had in a long time. I've been stuck in the bottom of D2 for a while.
Well, you're at the top of D2 now, so don't be surprised if you're in D1 next month. That's your reward for coming out on top. But how did you do it?
Well, it was definitely, even though I feel like I did shoot fairly high, I only had one game below 200 with a 189. It definitely was a grind. I mean, there was a lot of games where I was having to throw the back 4 or the back 6 just to make it out of the hole that I was in from the previous spares I missed. It was a hard 10-pin day more than anything. I think I missed 5 of those today, but I think overall I just kept consistent, didn't miss too many of my spares, kept my low games high, which I know sounds kind of contradictory, but just not letting the 180s, that you may have get to you and let that kind of kill your vibe and your roll,
So I read on your bio sheet that you are a speech and debate guy in high school. We shared that in common. I was a speech and debate guy. So what's the question you're debating this year in high school? Ours was resolved that there should be a national service system for everyone of draft age or something.
Really? I think that was actually the one, not the event I'm doing, but I think that was the big debate this year was that one as well.
Really?
Me and my friend Jason actually do one called Public Forum. It's sort of a newer kind of debate. It's 2-on-2. So that changes every month.
That's what ours were 2-on-2.
Yeah. The one that we did this year was resolved. The federal government should end student loans, I think was that one. Or forgive all student loans.
Yeah, well, we won't get into answering that question here, but I will say congratulations on winning. And there is a little custom that goes along with winning on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. You get to sign the coveted trophy pin, and this makes you eligible for our season-ending Prodigy Tournament of Champions, which will happen on the Sunday after Father's Day in Olathe. So pick a color out of our box O pins. He's going green like money.
Lime green's always been my favorite color. It's the closest we got here.
So there you go. Just put your name and date it. Today is 2/4/2024.
First and last?
First and last.
You said it was
2/04/2024.
24. 2020 right there.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Your Division II champion at the February KCO. It's Brody Hurla, a name you won't soon forget.
As I mentioned earlier during the show, the bowlers to our left on lanes 15 and 16 were the Division III finalists. Here's how their stepladder played out. In the opening match, the 4-seed Peyton Tryon, who took the title last month in Lawrence, defeated Annalise Keeler 228-185. You may recall that last April when we were here at Crown Lanes, Anna made the show in Division 4 and won the first 3 matches, only to fall in the final match to the girl who won this stepladder today, Grace Coleman. Anyway, in match 2, Peyton Tryon continued his winning ways, defeating Maddox Denny 201 to 151. But in match 3, Peyton's winning streak came to an end as the 2 seed, Grace Coleman, took a close match, 188 to 178. And that set up the championship match, in which Grace Coleman won her 2nd straight title at Crown Lanes, this time coming in Division 3, defeating tournament leader Bryce Isaacson 197 to 173. So congratulations to Grace Coleman of the Bowling Coleman family for winning the Division 3 crown. And as I mentioned earlier during the show, the kids bowling to our right on lanes 19 and 20 were the group from Division 4. Here's how their stepladder finals played out. In the opening match, the 5 seed, little Kaylin Melvin, upset the 4 seed, Haley Hill, 178 to 138 to advance. Then in match 2, Kaylin kept it going, defeating the 3 seed, Thomas Richardson, 186 to 152. In match 3, Kaylin Melvin rode her momentum to a 3rd win over the 2 seed, Grady Groom, 181 to 140. And in the championship match, it was the tournament leader, Gage Patrick, who held off Kaylin Melvin, 196 to 185, to win the title to the delight of his fans, who let out a big cheer when he threw the shutout ball. So congratulations to Gage Patrick for winning the title in Division 4. On our next edition of Prodigy Bowlers Tour, you'll see the championship round in Division 1 at the 2024 KCO February Point Tournament here in Leavenworth. And we'll recap the action that you'll see in the periphery among the Division 5 finalists. So be on the lookout for episode 161, which should drop on Saturday, February 24th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, right here on the Brownswick Bowling Channel on YouTube. If you'd like to enter the Kansas City Open or learn more about it, visit their website at www.kansascityopen.com. If you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up on the page. And if you want to know whenever a new video goes up, smash that subscribe button down below and ring the bell to receive notifications when we post new content. Only a quarter of you actually subscribe to the channel, and that prevents us from growing the channel the way we'd like. So won't you take just a few seconds to hit the subscribe button and leave a comment down below. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really does help us grow the channel. Another way you can support the creative work that goes into producing Prodigy is to become a Prodigy patron. For as little as $5 a month, you'll get early access to each full-length episode of the show that goes up. And for just $10 a month, you'll get early access and you'll be immortalized by having your name appear in the show's closing credits as an executive producer. You know, the way the big money people do in Hollywood with major motion pictures. Go to www.patreon.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour and follow the prompts to become a patron. To keep up with all things Prodigy and get the behind-the-scenes scoop on what's coming, join our Facebook group. From any page on Facebook, type Prodigy Bowlers Tour into the search bar and hit enter. That'll take you to a page where you can submit a request to join the group. But be sure to answer the screening questions so we know you're a real live human and not a troll or a spam bot. So that's it for this edition of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Congratulations once again to Brody Hurla, the Division 2 winner. Congratulations to Andrew Crook, who traveled all the way from Yakima, Washington to compete in the KCO today and who won his junior gold entry this afternoon. Congrats to Grace Coleman, the Division 3 champion, and Gage Patrick, who took top honors in Division 4. So that's a wrap for episode 160 of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. This is Coach Randy.
hoping you keep tripping the four and kicking out the corner pins, and reminding you to stay behind the foul line until we talk to you on the next edition, episode 161 of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Now, go get your bowl on.